It is approximately 4:22 in the morning. No, it's not approximately, it's exactly. Minus the seconds. But I'm up because my stupid refrigerator was ajar and I had to get up and close it because it was just incessantly beeping. I don't know how it popped open, but it popped open, so I had to close it. So now I'm up. And I was going through my phone and I was looking at stuff. And I was looking at the carry concealed laws in New Jersey and how the Supreme Court, in my mind, did not do their job. I mean, the Supreme Court is supposed to address, the ambiguity, of the laws. Their job is to interpret the laws. I don't know what it is about the Second Amendment, but it's like, if you ask me, and this is just my personal opinion, they've been some real bitch asses on the shit. Even the whole, the Heller, McDonald, what other case? Where there was a couple other cases, the D.C. case, the Chicago case, all these cases. It's like, well, Chicago was messed up because Chicago basically just had an outright ban. And then in D.C., D.C. went too far because, you couldn't even possess it in your home. And it would be very hard to not interpret to keep and bear arms to not at least be relegated to one's own home. I mean, if you're gonna keep and bear arms, where are you gonna keep it? In your home. So that makes logical sense as to why they smacked that down. But this whole concealed carry thing, it's like so super highly controversial. Now let's examine a few things. Let's look at the state of New Jersey and the state of New York. Okay, who seem to be the last two assholes, the last two asshole states in all of the, Second Amendment right to carry. I don't know what you want to call it, conversation. You're dealing with two of the most densely populated areas. I mean, you might as well put Jersey and New York together. And it's not even all of New Jersey, and it's not even all of New York, because you have upstate New York, which is, not rural, but, well, yeah, it is rural. I'll take that back. It's rural. And then you have New Jersey, everything below Trenton, which is rural. Right, got the Pine Barrens, right? It's like it's rural until you get to, the shore, right? And then it becomes, a thriving, bustling suburb, when you're heading towards Philadelphia, right? You got that whole metropolitan area of Philadelphia, right? So Jersey is a very densely populated state in terms of people being shoulder to shoulder, So Jersey and New York don't have that whole hunter thing going on. And with these densely populated areas, with these large numbers of people, there's this sense that having that many people with concealed carry is a problem. We're dealing with a seriously densely populated, area. Now, as I've said before, in these densely populated areas, what you typically have is you have a large minority population. And a lot of the original gun laws were instituted to keep guns out of the hands of blacks specifically. Jersey had, Not even Jersey, the whole country had some serious race riots right around 1967 and 1968. Okay. And in 1968, after I believe it was the assassination of Robert Kennedy, then you had, actually it was JFK, Robert Kennedy, and then you had Martin Luther King be assassinated and Malcolm X. So, with all that going on, plus the race riots, they had the 1968 Firearms Act. Now, people want to say that had to do with keeping guns out of the hands of felons and all this other stuff. To me, that's just more bullshit. Because at that time, they were locking, black people up all willy-nilly, because, basically, if you arrest them for something and then you come up with a felony, then all of a sudden they lose their Second Amendment rights, right? I could go into the drugs that were dumped into the African American community by the CIA, how many of these cities change. Like, people look at cities like Camden and they go, oh, those people are just like that. I'm like, the damn bread and butter of the city left. The industry left. Same with Detroit, industry left. And people seemingly, don't make those type of connections. I'm like, what do you think is going to happen when you don't have gainful employment in a particular area, right? Everybody can't go to college, right? Only 20% of Americans have 4-year degrees, right? You need industry to basically sustain the vast majority of people. But those things were removed, and, people can argue that they're not coming back, and then, that basically black people who are already behind in this country because of discrimination and Jim Crow and white supremacy, that they were not able to adapt to the changing markets. Now, this video is not about any of that. This video is I'm just putting it in the historical context of why I believe that a lot of these gun laws in these northeastern major metropolitan areas exist. The only reason you don't have super strict gun laws, or you can't carry gun laws in cities like Philadelphia, is because the whole rest of the state is red. Okay, the whole rest of from as soon as you get outside Philadelphia, as soon as you pass Conshohocken on 76, as soon as you get past that, it's like, I don't want to say it's the boonies, but I'm saying it just gets rural. It just gets rural real quick, and all that area is red. Okay, and Philadelphia has tried to separate itself from the rest of the state. They've tried to, act like they're, since we're a city of the first class and therefore blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and Philadelphia has the largest population of blacks out of the whole damn state. Right? So, again, keeping guns out of the hands of black people. Now, the majority of this gun crime that's going on is as white people like to call it, black on black crime, right? As though people don't kill within their own demographic areas, right? You take a bunch of impoverished people, you stick them in a cage, you lock the door, you turn the lights out, you take away the food, you take away the water. I was like, and you dump a whole bunch of drugs in there where the only economy is the narcotic game. I'm like, what do you think is going to happen? Right, but you already know white people ain't going to take no accountability of that. Not at the collective level. They seem to think that, if you can't point to one individual person, then clearly it's not us. We're not the ones doing it, But I don't have time for that degree of intellectual dishonesty. But that's the historical context behind why you have these anti-gun laws, anti-carry laws in the Northeast. Now, what doesn't make sense, and this is kind of where it's kind of ironic to me, because if you ask me, I feel like these laws have kind of bit white people in the ass, because it's like you have to structure them a certain way, so that it keeps the guns out of the hands of minorities, right? Yeah, and I guess there's that false sense of security, and it's just like a clusterfuck of just hypocrisy and just false. I don't even know what to call it. Just false motives. I mean, like let's look at it, right? Who are the anti-gun people, right? Liberals, right? Democrats, right? Black people are disproportionately Democrat, right? Why do black people not like guns? I've stated this before, because they associate it with the crime and the poverty that they see in, urban environments, right? They associate it with the drugs and the gangbangers and all that other stuff. So they don't like guns from the onset, which is ironic because, as I've stated before, you would think that, with screams of racism and everything else, and how they're being the oppressed people and they're being discriminated against, that would be the number one group that would be for the Second Amendment. It's a little hard to oppress anybody who might shoot back. Okay? But because the drug culture and all that is so entrenched in these impoverished communities, right? The vast majority of black people, especially in those environments, are anti-gun. You got a handful of people that's like, we got to start putting people down, and I'm going to defend myself and blah, 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 blah. Although I agree, some people need to be put down. At the same time, I'm like, no, what really needs to happen is some economic opportunities need to be created for those people so that they and their children won't end up falling down the path of trying to, survive in an economic vacuum, which is why they fall into the drug game and the dope game and everything else in the first place. But so that's why they don't like it, right? That's why, the black liberals don't like it. The white liberals, right, they have like this view, this fear of of minorities with guns. They have this fear of it. Because, let's face it. They're not, when they think about guns, they're thinking about black gangbangers. They're not thinking about, the white guy that they're forced to put into an NRA commercial or a Glock commercial as a criminal kicking in the front door, or, with the ski mask on, because otherwise, if they put a black guy in that position, right, the NAACP or somebody else will be all on it because they would call it racist, right? Racially insensitive, right? So they gotta, I don't believe that the vast majority of white people believe that they're going to be robbed or held at gunpoint by somebody who is white, even though, that's typically what's going to happen. They focus on the disproportionate amount of black people who will end up the disproportionate amount of black people who will end up committing crimes against whites due to economic disparity between the two groups. Obviously you're going to have more black people committing crimes against white people because you have this huge economic disparity between blacks and whites. Right? You're not going to have white people that have, a disproportionate amount of the wealth robbing black people, right? It'll be the other way around until you get some economic parity, and there's statistical evidence to support that fact, right? Please direct me to all the black upper middle class and middle class, suburban kids, who are committing, gun violent crimes. You're not going to see it. Because why? They're in the middle class, or they're in the upper middle class, right? But there's this fear that white people have, white liberals, about being, and you could say the same thing about white conservatives when they think about being attacked and gun crime. They're thinking about Jamal and Pookie and Marquise and Deshaun. They're not thinking about, Clive and Ezekiel and Jacob. They're not thinking about them. even though they'd most likely be attacked by them. It's like where I grew up in the suburbs. It's like sometimes the crimes are just different. Like, if you want to be a white guy and you want to rob other white people's houses, all you gotta do is go and rent a U-Haul truck, put on a moving shirt, and just back the truck up to the house and then just start moving shit out of the house. And other white people will be looking like, oh my God, the Stevens are moving. We didn't even know, right? They wouldn't even know that this has happened in my area. People, with their U-Haul trucks, they back up and they break into the house and they just start moving stuff out as the owners are gone because they're at work. Whether they work in New York or whether they work in, Philadelphia. And nobody bats an eyelash because, of the internalization or the belief that, all white people are good and all black people are bad. And so when we see black people, they make us nervous and we call 911. But when we see white people, they don't make us nervous. So we don't suspect anything, even though, they're doing things right underneath our eyes. I remember I knew this white boy in college and, upper middle class family, sold drugs. And I was like, why do you sell drugs? He was like, real talk. He's like, because with this Abercrombie and Fitch hat, these sandals, ain't nobody going to suspect it. And nobody did suspect it. Nobody suspected that he was, look at the recent case that they got in what school was that? The two college dropouts, up there, what is that? The city, what was that? City Line? What is that? City Line? Up there by, Villanova, those two white guys that got arrested. They had a whole drug empire. They were supplying like 5 high schools and stuff. I don't know if anybody's familiar in the news. I don't have all the details off the top of my head, but they were doing that, right? So let me get back on track and not be so off tangent. I just need to explain a lot to people because there's too much that people just do not consider in reference to these conversations. Okay, so. Yeah, these white liberals that run around with this false sense of security that if they ban all guns, somehow keeping guns out of the hands of minorities, that they'll be safe, right? That's what they believe, right? And I've seen many pro-gunners make this statement that the criminals don't listen to the laws. They can get the guns. They can easily get. If you're supported by a narco economy and you got the money, then you got the means. And not only that, but most of the guns that are used in criminal activity are being trafficked into the state from states that have less stringent, gun laws. So the idea that somehow creating these gun laws is going to prevent gun crime in New Jersey is a fallacy. I'm not going to say that it has absolutely no effect. Obviously, if you make it difficult for everybody, to get guns in the state of New Jersey, then, there's a so-called limited supply of accessible guns. I can comprehend that. But it's something like, 85% to 90% of the guns that are used in violent crimes in the state of New Jersey come from outside of the state of New Jersey. And again, like I said, my issue with the whole Sandy Hook issue is way more black males have been dying in inner city violence, due to gun crime than the 26 little precious white children that were killed in Connecticut. And I'm saying, while all that was happening, nobody batted an eyelashes, but then once Sandy Hook happened, those precious little white children. Now all of a sudden, everybody's supposed to give a fuck. I didn't like that shit at all. I identified that shit quick. I'm like, 26 children, died in Connecticut, and now we must create better gun laws. And I'm like, what about the 400 people in Chicago? Right? And they weren't killed by assault weapons. They were killed by handguns. Like 95% of them killed by handguns. Handguns and maybe, 3 or 4 shotguns. But assault weapons, no. Or as the people want to call them that. I don't know why people need to, the pro-gun people need, I told you, they need to change the name and call them self-defense rifles and stop calling them assault rifles. Just keep throwing it out there, self-defense, just like how they've been doing with magazine instead of clips. It's not clip, it's magazine, right? So a lot of the gun laws have been created because of this fear, of minorities, and it's like, it's not like that fear doesn't go without any merit or any validity. But again, the root of the fear is based in the economic disparity that most, or if not all, whites are unwilling to address and act like that doesn't play a factor, and not only that, but like I said, the false sense of security is just that. It's a false sense of security. I could take the story of Amber Long in Philadelphia, right? Even though we don't know who the perpetrators were because they were hooded, but she's walking down the street with her mom, shot in the chest. I could take the story of, and this story is really fucked up because I used to take the Patco line, but Kristen Emberly in New Jersey in 2001 got off the Patco line, Grays Ferry Ave, and was abducted. I don't know if she was raped or not. And basically when they decided that they were done with her, they shot her with a shotgun. I mean, that was real fucked up. I mean, and I'm saying these are women, right? And you already know that's going to pull on the heartstrings of all those, heroic white males out there that must, protect the sanctity of the white womb, right? So, that shit just plays on the, birth of a nation, black men are the threat type of thing, right? I mean, the situation is fucked up. I just don't think that it's something that I condone, but shit like that, happens in the black community just the same. And, white media and white people don't even bat an eyelash. But when, once it crosses that racial line, then all of a sudden people are going to play it up. They're going to play up those old traditional, freaking, Mississippi stereotypes. They're going to play that up like a mofo. So now let's get back to, the whole Supreme Court. Okay. Ninth Circuit Ward basically says that San Diego's carry concealed clause, which is good cause, was not legit, and they threw it out, right? So that changed like the whole dynamic of the whole California carry law, right? Which I would have never saw coming. Then you have the Drake case. I don't even know how to say this. Drake versus Jerry Jan. I don't even know how to say that name. Okay. So you got the Drake case that goes to the Supreme Court for Jersey. And that case is about basically the same thing. What's the difference between good cause and justifiable need? I'm not seeing the difference. To me, it's the same thing. To me, it's an arbitrary, standard, right? This interpretable standard as to why somebody should be able to carry, a firearm, which, should simply be self-defense. I mean, it shouldn't even be a question. Now, a lot of people feel that this, the whole Second Amendment, the whole well-regulated militia, to be necessary, for a free state. They really believe, and I believe, I forget what's the Supreme Court justice name, Scalia, is he the one, right, that wrote the book, talking about, basically his whole stance is that all guns should be banned. In that nobody should have them. It's just for militias and whatnot, which is total bullshit. It's funny how you'll have people who want to act like, they want to act like the Second Amendment. Like, you got to look at it like this. What other context I want to put this in? This is how I look at it, right? As an African American, this is how I look at the shit. You got a bunch of white guys that left Europe, came to America, right? Did the whole colony thing after eradicating a bunch of Native Americans and instituting slavery to work the land so that America would become this wealthy nation, right? So they did all that fucked up shit. But I'm saying, not discussing that, they came to America, right, to get it to, and they had the little colonies, right? Then the whole, taxation without representation, right? Everybody's all fired up, right? Fires are shot, everything else like that, right? Then the war breaks out, right? And so here you have a group of white men who are trying to get away from another group of white men, across, the Atlantic Ocean, who were basically trying to impose, their rule over them, right? And the founding fathers, right, they were very much against a centralized government with centralized power, right? Although, as time went on, they discovered that you do need some sort of centralized something, especially when you're talking about, dealing with foreign powers or dealing with, an invasion, of the nation, right? Does anybody doubt that you could just have a confederacy of states and that America would have been able to go into World War I or World War II with just a confederacy of states without a centralized government, right? A lot of people don't realize that, there really wasn't much of a real military until, World War I and instituting a draft, right? Or was it World War II that they instituted a draft? I'm pretty sure World War I was the war where they really, that they were like, okay, we need a standing army. We do need a standing army. We don't have a standing army, right? So here you have a group of people who understand that the only way that a nation can really be free, right, is to have it where people are able to defend themselves against an overzealous and powerful government. It blows my mind at how in 2014 people can sit there and they can look at what's going on in Egypt. They can look at what's going on in Syria. They can look at what's going on in Ukraine right now, right? Or actually now it's Ukraine versus Russia, but I'm saying when Ukraine, or the elements of Ukraine that wanted to side with Russia, went against the will of the people, and the people rose up, and how you had basically those people being violently oppressed. Same with Iran. Okay, these are places where people aren't allowed to have guns. And I don't know what people don't understand about human nature and how absolute power corrupts. But the people really have this false sense of security in America, namely white people, because they ain't never been through no shit. Black people, in the back of their minds, they always know that shit can get real fucked up real quick, and we're, if not mentally prepared for it, where we almost expect it. It's a very negative way of existing, but that's just the way that it fucking is. Right? We know that nobody's coming to our rescue. We know that well, actually I can't say that, because there's a lot of black people that do believe that, that our current position, we're okay. I'm like, no, we're not. I'm like, white people don't fuck with us like that. And I direct you to the situation of Hurricane Katrina. They don't fuck with us like that. But that's just my personal opinion. Right? I wish black people would take, measures to, protect themselves. But again, there's powers that be and forces that be that essentially don't want that, because self-sufficient black people are dangerous because, they're not on the dole of white daddy, and they're not, they're less controllable. Okay. And there's white people that want to, pretend like they don't know that's what the game is. Again, if people are dependent on you, then you have control over them. If they're not dependent on you, then you don't have as much control over them. That's how the game is played, right? And only the white muhahaha oligarchy can comprehend what I'm saying. Only white people who focus on power can comprehend what I'm saying. Those who don't focus on power, the proletariat, the working class, I think I'm an elite because I'm a working professional. I went to college and I have a degree. They think they speak the language of power, and they don't speak the language of power, which is why what Donald Sterling said was so powerful. So powerful. Like I had to explain to someone that I know, they were focused on Clive Bundy and what Clive Bundy had to say. I'm like, fuck what Clive Bundy has to say. I'm not focused on what Clive Bundy has to say. I'm focused on what Donald Sterling has to say, because Donald Sterling is sitting on, $1 billion, 1.5 to 1.9 billion dollars. Okay, and he's sitting up there with his beliefs about black people, his view about black people. I'm like, I'm not concerned about Clive Bundy with his cows living on a farm in the middle of, New Mexico or Arizona, wherever the hell he was, Texas, wherever the hell he was, right? I'm not concerned about that, because Clive Bundy, he can say nigger, 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 right? He can say that shit all day. That's not going to affect me. What affects me is a white man in a position like Donald Sterling, who has the views of Donald Sterling, because that's going to directly affect, whether I have a job, or whether I can get gainful employment, or whether I have an economic opportunity. Donald Sterling is my concern. I don't give a damn about how many, let me tell you about the Negro. I could give a damn about Clive Bundy, So, there's the whole political game and economic game, that's played there, that a lot of white people, who think that they're in elite circles don't pay attention to, and a lot of black people who just aren't aware of what's going on don't pay attention to. So like I've stated before, America is like a abusive stepfather to African Americans that basically comes into our bedroom at night as a 12-year-old child and molests us every now and again, even though it takes care of us. So we have a very tentative relationship with America as African Americans. So where was I going? Where was I at? Yeah, the whole Second Amendment and like the Revolutionary War and all that other stuff. So you can see how, times change where America realized it needed a more centralized government. Okay. So in terms of there being militias, to a free state, again, when you're trying to keep the states all separate, right? Yeah, you would need that, right? But within the context of the Second Amendment is the context of the people having the right to bear arms, to be able to fight, not only keep their state free, right, like a state militia, but also the context of being a free people. Like, I don't know why people want to act like, the clause or the statement is just that it focuses on strictly a militia angle. And I'm saying, just as, the idea for a central government evolved in the United States, as did, regions with carry laws. People don't understand. Carry laws didn't come into like existence until somewhere in the 80s. I think it was like 1986. And then after 1986, things just slowly started changing, right? But it didn't change in the urban areas where there's large minority populations. Gun laws became more strict, more strict, more strict. And in those areas where it's, demographically all white people, they became looser and looser and looser. Now, it could be argued like areas like Mississippi and in the deep South, obviously you're going to have, white people that are always going to be pro-gun because we got to keep these niggers down, right? So that's a whole different set. It's all regional, but it's like, take Vermont, for example. Vermont is the perfect example of how the racial politics play into it. Vermont doesn't have any permits for people to carry. Vermont the gun laws are just like, wee, right? And Vermont is the whitest state in America. It's like 98.9% white. Right? Lake Champlain? I don't even know how to say that yet. Right? 98% white. No carry this, no carry that, or not no carry. No permit this, no permit that. I mean, just whatever the hell you want to do. Right? And see, there's that sense of security about, white people having firearms and, amongst each other, it's not a problem. It's just like with the concept of the idea of welfare, right? You go to Sweden, they have an extensive welfare program and all these government programs for people and everything else like that, right? Because, it's essentially, for, the Swedes, for the white people, for the people that are there. But there's this fear that, somehow, minority people are the ones that are going to take advantage of, the welfare state and whatnot. And so people fear those type of social programs, despite the fact that it goes against their own best interest if they need such programs. They undermine themselves. And then out comes, the real conservative views and standpoints about America's been deindustrialized, but everybody's being lazy who doesn't want to work the jobs that don't exist. Oh man, that's the America that we live in, But anyway, the Second Amendment, as it is, where we are now, the criminals have guns. They have them. They're going to use them. You don't think I think about the fact that, that if I ever had to use a firearm, it would most likely be against my own people because of the economic disparities. You know what I mean? I've had that go through my head a couple of times about, if I ever had to pull my gun in a certain situation, chances are, in the city of Philadelphia, I would be shooting, a 17-year-old boy. Okay, that doesn't really know anything about anything much, and again, his economic situation is, that were created by, a lot of institutionalized racism is why, he evolved into the person that he evolved into. A lot of things that have been done to the African American. I gotta think about shit like that. A white person may not care; they may just, I shot at me a nigger, But I gotta think about shit like that, And I would rather not. Pull out. Most people who do carry concealed would rather not pull out. But, the Supreme Court, they're not doing their job. They're not doing their job. To me, it's cowardly. I know they want to leave it up to the states and don't want to undermine the states, right? Because there still is this element of states' rights and everything, but there's like no consistency there. 1 minute it's states' rights, next minute it's It's not states' rights. I mean, I could call the conservatives out on that shit because, they're running around, with this reciprocity. Every state should, we should have reciprocity, and it's America and it's one country, and everybody should be able to carry guns wherever they want in the United States of America as long as they have a permit and everything else, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. Aren't you the conservatives the same ones that were running around screaming about states' rights and states have the individual right not to do this and not to do that and nobody else should come through and dictate and Obamacare is bullshit and what about the states and the states should decide and da-da-da-da-da. But then when it comes to concealed carry laws, all of a sudden, we're one nation under God and there should be a federal law that allows people to carry guns wherever they want. I'm not saying I don't agree with it. I'm just saying it's grossly hypocritical and logically inconsistent. That's my point about it. But I don't know. There was one more point that I was gonna make, and I'm like going blank about it. I'm going blank about the point that I was gonna make about the gun laws and carry. There's one more point that I was going to make about how things have just simply evolved. I think I'm trying to not repeat myself of what I said in other videos, which I already know I did. How much time I got? 40-minute video. Fuck it. I ain't going back to sleep anyway. But, yeah, Supreme Court is just not doing their job, to interpret this. I mean, it's not, you're not going to get rid of all guns. You're not going to ban all guns. We're not going to turn into Australia. That's not going to happen. I mean, the idea that they're just going to confiscate and Americans are just going to lay down and roll over and that you're going to be able to grab all these. That's just not going to happen. Like it happened in the UK or how it happened in Australia. Will not happen. Not in a million years. And I'm saying there's already more guns out there than there are people. And I do believe that people should have the right to defend themselves. And that right has been essentially taken away in the state of New Jersey. Because the only way you can get a concealed carry permit is if you're law enforcement, you're sleeping with law enforcement or you're sleeping with a judge. I mean, that's literally the only way that you're getting it. Which creates a situation that is a de facto ban on concealed carry in the state of New Jersey. It's the same as like New York. Like New York City, like you know what the requirements are to try to get a pistol permit in New York City? It's like $5,000. It's an insane amount of money just to get it, right? And I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, essentially, the closest thing I could relate it to, that black people had to go to is it's like a damn poll tax, literally. Oh, you want to vote? Well, that'll cost you, an astronomical amount that I know that you can't afford, so you might as well not vote, right? And so, yes, we have concealed carry in New York, but not only are you very likely to be denied, but it's going to cost you an astronomical amount that the typical average person can't afford unless you're some big celebrity like Robert De Niro, who we issued a concealed carry permit, but anybody else of you common folk, no, you can't have it. So it basically becomes this elitist state where only the elite can carry concealed, the elite and law enforcement officers, and everybody else, you're just a plebeian, proletariat, nobody who, doesn't have the most basic human right or the ability to defend themselves in a nation where, guns are abound. They're already out there. You know how many people are, running around, with these old Lorsons and, Jimenez, type of guns and Cobras, these 380s, these butt plate, where the magazine releases on the butt plate, those type of guns, these old J frames, revolvers and stuff like that. Truth be told, most criminals don't even use semi-automatic firearms. They use revolvers. You can go in there and look at the FBI statistics. They use revolvers. They don't use semi-automatic handguns. You know why? I'm not saying that they don't use them all. I'm just saying they prefer to use revolvers. Do you know why? Think about it. If I want to kill somebody, right? What's the first piece of evidence that they're going to look for if I use a handgun? They're going to look for the casing to know what caliber of gun I use, and then when they find the gun, they say, "Oh, you shot him with a 40 caliber gun, and you have a 40 caliber gun, and here's the casing," and then try to match up the the grooves on the barrel with the grooves on the bullet, depending on if I'm shooting full metal jackets or not, but they'll try to match it up and say, "Oh, this is the same gun," da 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 da, and then send me to jail for 20 years. Versus if you use a revolver that doesn't have any spent shell casings. So you can kill somebody and they're shot, but you have no spent shell casings. You just know that they were shot with, most likely a revolver because there's no spent shell casings. So I'm saying if you really want to be a badass criminal and not do the obvious shit to get caught, you're not going to be using semi-automatic handguns. You're going to be using a revolver. So, these limitations that are being made, they're only affecting law-abiding citizens. They want to bring the New Jersey capacity down to, they want to bring the capacity down to 10 rounds, from 15. I mean, we're already way below the capacity. We're half the capacity of states like Pennsylvania or what other states? Just basically everything west of Philadelphia, right? The whole East Coast, Jersey's ridiculous, New York's ridiculous, Delaware's getting ridiculous, Maryland's already ridiculous, right? It literally is a bunch of fear mongering, and again. I mean, look at these areas, right? You say New York, you got strict gun laws. What do you got? Queens, Brooklyn, that is currently being gentrified like a motherfucker. Harlem's being gentrified. You got, I can't even go. I'm going blank. But anyway, you got large black populations in New York. Then you get Jersey. You got Patterson. You got Jersey City. You got Trenton, right? You got, some people say Union City. They get Union City up in there, right? Then you go down further, right? Philly, right? Philly wants to do something, right? Philly kind of views itself as Jersey City, Camden, and same shit, right? But again, the whole rest of the state is red, so they really can't do anything in terms of the gun laws. They can't, they're trying to curb the straw purchases and everything, because straw purchases do go on. It's another place where a lot of criminals get their guns, or from straw purchases and out of state, which is nothing more than an out of state straw purchase. That's all it is. Okay. Somebody basically who doesn't have a criminal background record or whatever was given a whole bunch of money to go buy some firearms, put them in their name, and then sell them, on the street to the person that, paid whatever money, and that's how they get the guns. Okay. I don't know how you would stop that. Jersey's tried the whole 1 gun per month permit type of thing, but even the permit process, I don't really have that much of an issue with the permit process if it was more streamlined and you went in there. But the fact that you go through a background check, you go through 3 background checks in Jersey. You go through your local police background check. You go through your state trooper background check, and then you go through a NICS background check. It's redundant. Okay. And then on top of that, they gotta, you give your references the first time, then they gotta go, and then you gotta give more references again. And they gotta contact the references again, and then they gotta contact. I don't know how they changed it a little bit to where they're not really contacting your employer. Yes and no. I don't know how they verify your employment. In Jersey, you have to verify your employment, but it's like, it's fucked up. Right? So then you go even lower than that, right? When we get to Delaware, right? Delaware like only really has like one predominantly black area, which is Dover. Then you get to Baltimore, which is in Maryland, right? And they got huge gun crimes, right? And I'm saying everywhere where you have minority people and gun crime, you essentially have, right, black people who move from the South, to get out of sharecropping, to move into the industrialized North. And these people are the children of the Black Great Migration, to go work in Henry Ford's factory for $5 a day. And when those factories dried up, those people were literally stuck there. Then in comes the CIA sprinkling drugs all over the place. And so that's why you see what you see, right? It's a way to control or annihilate, black populations, right? So, and people want to ask, do you hate white people? Do you have hate? No, I don't hate white people. I just recognize the game for what the fuck it is. Okay, I know white supremacy when I see it. That's why people don't like what Donald Sterling had to say recently. Because, think about it. They just got rid of the whole affirmative action, Michigan State, whatever, right? They just got rid of that. It's not 1955 anymore. Racism is over. And then here you have billionaire Donald Sterling coming up and, with his 1% self, sharing how he really feels. He said it to the woman point blank. He said, "You are the enemy. You are the enemy." Right? That's that whole group economics, type of, situation, because it's about maintaining power. Okay? That's what it's about. You don't understand. Yeah, she doesn't understand. You know what I mean? And the whole thing with Donald Sterling, it's not about, it's not about what he said about Magic Johnson and black people not coming to the games. That's not what it's about. And I've seen white people skipping right over this, the whole time they've been talking about Donald Sterling. No, what it's about is the fact that Donald Sterling is an extremely wealthy Jewish white man, if you want to categorize Jewish as white, right? Ashkenazi Jews are still white. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. They white people. Okay. Here he is messing with a mixed girl, right? Who he wanted her to pass for Latino or black because he didn't want it to be known that he was running around fucking with a nigga. That's what it really comes down to. He had to save face in his white elite circles, okay, or his Jewish elite circles. He had to save face. He wasn't about to be seen, running around with this girl, because then the other groups of powerful white men will begin to question his allegiance to their power and domination or maintaining power, because they're like, "Yo, man, what the hell are you doing?" And some guys, they'll just get with the, "Well, I'm just over there, I'm just fucking," right? But he didn't even want it to make it appear like that. He's like, "Yo, I don't get down with them," right? But he was swimming in that young girl. She 31 years old. He was swimming in that shit with his old wrinkly ass. Okay? And he was concerned about his reputation in the eyes of other elite, powerful white men. That's what he was concerned about. Okay, you don't understand. Yeah, bitch, I can't have you out there being seen with niggas like, Magic Johnson and all these other black people. Why you gotta hang out with these minorities? You're messing up my image. That's what he was concerned about. He ain't concerned about nothing else. That's what he was concerned about. You know what I mean? But everybody wants to focus on, he said black people can't come to my games, or his games. I'm like, that's not even what moved me. And I'm saying this as a black person. Although I do know black people who were moved by that because, they have a freaking 5-year-old way of looking at things. They don't understand racial politics. They don't understand how the game is played. Most white people don't understand how the game is played. And one of the only reasons I make the videos that I make, are for those white people who just don't get it. You got those that don't want to get it. You got black people that don't want me to convey what I'm saying right now because they don't want white people to know that there are black people who are aware of the situation. People like Malcolm X, who just simply call the game out for what the game is. I mean, the whole concept of maintaining power in terms of white people is to deny. If you're oppressing people with a certain system or a certain structure or institutionalized racism, preventing them from having access to the social, political, economic structure, you do not want to admit that that's what you are doing, because then that would undermine you maintaining power and being in the position that you're in. So you're not going to admit that that's what you're actually doing. Okay. And again, it's not every white person doing it. Most white people just go about their business and they go to work every day, and that's just what they do. But then you also have those who basically silently participate it, and when they see it, they don't call it out, because it's not only not in their best collective interest to call it out, but I'm saying it actually benefits them. So they just let it silently happen and whatnot. And this is why when certain things happen and certain crimes and shit spills into the, white community, I could care less, because I'm like, the chickens have come home to roost. What do you want me to say about it? And then they, try to break it down to, those people are just like that. So again, you'll never hear me talk about gun control and all this other stuff that's going on without talking about the racial politics that go along with it, because that is what it is. It's racial politics. Okay. And so in terms of the whole carry concealed thing, it depends on what type of state you're in. If you're in a conservative state, the conservatives run on the fear-mongering aspect of minorities are coming to get you, so you need to protect yourself, right? Versus in Democrat strongholds and liberal places, where you have the white liberals who really fear black people with guns, right? And you have the situation of gunplay in urban centers, to where the black people themselves fear the guns because they're being terrorized by, the young males in their community, because they don't have they didn't create, nor they don't have an economic base for these young men to walk into, right? So they don't like the guns. So what you end up with is two people, two groups of people not liking guns, but they're actually, technically speaking, against one another. And this is one of the areas where, white conservatives jump up and they talk about, the fake white liberals, and how the liberals have, basically undermined black people and whatnot, and they are 100% correct about that. They're 100% correct about that. I know that. I'm aware of that. It's basically to keep them in a childlike state. There's a video clip called Trick Daddy 1972. You can pull it up on YouTube. It's called Trick Daddy 1972. It's a video clip where it's got two white men sitting at a table and they're discussing. One's the white conservative and the other one's the white liberal. And it's a very interesting clip, what they say in the clip. I actually have it somewhere. I don't know if I have it in my favorites on this YouTube account, but I might have it on a different YouTube account. But the movie is called Trick Daddy. It's one of those blaxploitation movies, 1972, and that pretty much sums up, how the game is played. The little meeting that they have at dinner with the black people serving them food, 1972, right? I mean, that's just how the game is played. So, you have black people who are in fear of the drugs and the gangs and the blah, 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 right? And you got white people who really just don't want minorities to have guns, and they're not really, they're in a state where hunting's not really big, and, they just want to walk around. I shouldn't have to have a gun. That's their position. I shouldn't have to have a gun. I shouldn't have to carry a gun. I shouldn't be forced, everywhere I go, I should be safe. Which I mean, it's an idea that I can understand. I can respect it. In terms of, if I threw race out and just stuck with the idea, yeah, I can respect that. I can respect that idea. But again, I think it's a very naive idea. It's a very, very naive idea. It's just what it is. So anyway, this is just all my thoughts on just a whole bunch of shit about the whole gun control issue. I wish the Supreme Court, even though I didn't talk much about the Supreme Court,
I mean, I don't know I don't know what there's to talk about in terms of the Supreme Court, even though that was my original intent, because they didn't do their job, to interpret the law and dispel any amount of confusion and whatnot. But they're trying to pull the whole states' rights thing. We don't want to undermine states like New York, and they should have. And I'm like, pretty much every state has some form of concealed carry. No, actually, all states have some form of concealed carry. But again, what states like New York and what states like New Jersey are doing is they've essentially, made the restrictions so harsh and so difficult to get past and overcome that they've essentially created a loophole in making a de facto ban on concealed carry. That is what they've done. If had Chicago had their laws structured like New Jersey, then they probably wouldn't have the concealed carry that they have now. Had they structured their laws the same way, Jersey's laws is real slick. It's that. I mean, it's a perfect example of like the type of shit that black people end up going through. Bringing it back to race. It's that intellectual dishonesty of denial. What are you talking about? We're not racist. We have a black employee, right? And then New Jersey does the same thing. What are you talking about? We have concealed carry. Look, we have whatever. 5 million gun owners in New Jersey, and only about less than 2,000 of them have carried concealed permits. I mean, literally, like the number is something like that. It's somewhere like that. I mean, there's tons of gun owners, but there's basically no, and concealed carry, and all the people who have concealed carry are, like law enforcement officers. I'd say 80 to 90% of them are law enforcement officers. You might have a woman here too that has a serious restraining order, somebody who carries large, excessively large sums of money. And again, it depends on, there's no consistency. It depends on what county you're in, what your police chief thinks, what type of judge you have in your township. I mean, it depends on those things. You come to certain parts of Jersey, they're more lax. You go to other parts of Jersey, they're more strict. I mean, they're strict across the board, but I'm saying, had this Drake guy been in a different county, I think he would have gotten his permit had he been in a different county, But that's how vague and arbitrary and nebulous, these definitions for these gun laws are, in the state of New Jersey. That's what it is. That's the game that's played, And I think it's just unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate, like I said, when I look at the whole big picture of white supremacy and I look at that guy that got shot at the Short Hills Mall, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, that's what happens. It's just going to spill on to you, right? But then at the same time, I'm one of the biggest supporters in the world of the fact that man should have had, an ability to defend himself and, to defend him and his wife against, being carjacked. I'm all for it. If that white guy, ended up blowing, the 4 black guys away that tried to carjack him, I'm all for that. Even though I know the context of how, institutionalized racism in this country has created, that type of economic disparity where that type of shit is going on, right? Shit, had I been at the Short Hill Mall and he blown my ass off, white people would be washing their hands of it saying, well, it's just black on black crime. I mean, I could have been, let's say I was the lawyer or I was the doctor or I was the, I had some lofty job somewhere, some business exec, and I'm at the Short Hills Mall shopping. I'm the token black guy that lives in a predominantly white suburb, right? I'm all cushy, right? And they blew my head off, right? People would be treating me and my death as though I was in the heart of Camden or Jersey City or Trenton when I got shot. You know, that's how they would be looking at it. They would be looking at it, oh, like, yeah, those black people, yeah, they, that's what they do to each other, and da 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 da. Nobody would look at the class element of it. Nobody would look at it. They wouldn't see me as the same as them. The other white lawyers that are at the Short Hills Mall, like, oh my God, that could have been us. No, they wouldn't look at it like, yeah, those black guys. I mean, he must have been doing some shady shit behind the scenes, and those guys, they came up and they got him, because he was a corrupt black official or some shit like that. I'm telling you, that's I already know how white people think. I grew up around them. Not all white people, but a lot of them. It's very basic. Childish way of thinking. The vast majority of white people. I hate to say it, call me racist, whatever you want to say. I'm telling you what it is. Personally, I believe that when it comes to race conversations, black people who are aware and knowledgeable are immensely more versed and more sophisticated when it comes to race conversations than white people are, because white people have not experienced being black or a minority in this country. They just haven't experienced. So they have like a Fox News view on race relations. And I'm saying, as a person who's intellectually aware, it's very annoying and very frustrating to have to sit around and listen to, intellectual dribble. It's not even intellectual, it's just dribble. To have to sit there and listen to, the blatant intellectual dishonesty and the putting things, intentionally putting things out of context to try to make and articulate a point that is grossly inaccurate and false. It's very frustrating to have to sit there and do that and listen to that. But again, this is why I make these videos. I don't care whether people want to thumb me down and say whatever they want to say. I'm saying my piece. That's the one fantastic thing about YouTube videos. If you don't, or just videos in general, if you don't like what I'm saying, don't listen to the shit. Don't listen to it. I'm telling you what my reality is. I'm telling you how I view the world. If you view the world differently, go ahead and fine, view the world differently. If you think your beliefs or how you view things are more accurate and more right, I'm like, hey, I welcome your ideas. Just be able to back them up and support them without being intellectually dishonest. And what I find is that very few people can do that. So, anyway, this is New Jersey gun laws. That's all I have to say. So that is my video, and I am out.